You were talking about possibility, and you said you pray about everything
Yeah,
as as much as pray for research. I was like, really?
yeah.
When you mentioned that thing, I started doing it. I pray for progress, I pray for ideas, and then it just started working. That is really, very amazing.
Let me give you an experience.
Okay.
There was a time we were using some machines to do some critical assay, and I called the guy. I said, "Guy, these machines are not working correctly." Do you know what the guy told me?
No.
The guy told me that pray, just lay your hand on the machine and
Yes.
command it to work normally.
Yes. Yeah, wow.
And that sounds strange to me.
Yes.
And even till now, sometimes I just operate some machines and people just come back. Oh, guy, come. Uh, what did you do to this machine? It's not working anymore. I say,
Uh,
okay. And I'll just go into the lab and just press one or two things and it'll start working.
yeah.
It's just to corroborate what you said. Bible already gave us the instruction, which is a direct
Absolutely.
line. It said, pray about all things. Commit everything to the hand of God and you see results.
I remember there was an essay I was doing then. I was trying to do a standard curve. I was trying it for a couple of weeks. It wasn't working, and I didn't really want to bother you a lot about it. I was like, this is simple. So I kept doing the same thing over and over. Like one day why don't you pray about this thing? And
Mm,
then I just prayed about it. The idea just came to my mind. Why don't you ask Anthony about this? And then I just remember I was having problem with my triglyceride acid then.
mm.
And then when I just came to lab, I just asked you like, this is not working. And you're like, oh, just do this, just do this. I just did it, and that week it just worked. I was like, wow. I was like, this is really fantastic and great.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean, things in life, things respond to what you declare about them.
absolutely,
Because
absolutely,
a lot of things that play out in the physical, are orchestrated in the spirit. So
absolutely.
you have to declare, some things. And I tell people every now and then, your declaration or your confessions become your reality.
Absolutely,
You know,
absolutely. That is very true. All right. And I know a lot of times, with doing that's one of the things I had to also learn, students to supervisor relationship. And I learned a lot of things from you, on that aspect, being able to relate with your supervisor. So can you just speak on that? What are some of the things you have to learn, like how to effectively communicate with your supervisor?
well, I'll say this. Uh, you graduating as a PhD candidate, to a reasonable extent, is let's say about 40% dependent on your supervisor and about 60% dependent on you.
Yes.
You know, and I tell people PhD is about relationship between
Yes.
you and your supervisor and other stakeholders in your line
Absolutely.
of research. So the earlier anybody that, in case there's someone that is doing PhD, the earlier you realize that, the better it is. If your supervisor doesn't want you to pass, you cannot pass.
Yes. Absolutely. That
You
is very
cannot
true. That is
pass
very true. Hmm.
because they know the button they can press,
Yes.
and you will
Mm.
become soft.
Yes.
So why am I
Absolutely.
saying that? I'm not saying supervisor will make you fail, but what I'm saying is that there should be an effective communication line between you and your supervisor. You must carry your supervisor along at every point. See them
Absolutely.
as the first line of contact. You have problems, contact them, you know. And that is very important because by the time you are trying to figure out some things on your own, it will take you longer time than necessary.
Absolutely. Yep.
And there's a proverb where I came from. They say, what an elder will see in a sitting position,
Yep.
if a kid climbs an iroko tree, you know, they cannot see.
Mm.
So I see supervisors as giants. Any student should learn how to, perch on the shoulder of a giant, you know.
Yes.
And if you are struggling with an essay, run it by your supervisor
Yep.
because in most cases they have done it in the past. They
Pass.
know the
Absolutely.
tricks,
Absolutely.
they know the ins and the outs,
Mm.
but some you know, sometimes you don't want to look as if you don't know anything or things
Yes.
like that.
Yep.
But you approaching them, you must tell them the steps you've taken.
Taken.
It's not
Absolutely.
that you have not done anything and you're just running to for them for solution. You've done some things, but there's a limit to where your capacity can take you to.
Absolutely.
Just one advice and things will just fall into place for you. So
Absolutely.
it's important to really respect that relationship between you and your supervisor. Know how your supervisor work, and your supervisor has had previous students.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to them,
Yep.
gain experiences from them. Don't use your own life as trial and error.
Oh
Some
my
people have
goodness.
passed through that
Yep.
phonics.
Yes.
They
Yes.
know how it is, or they know how to relate better with that person. They know
Absolutely.
things that there are things you can say to some people that will turn them off,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
and you
Yes.
don't want that to happen.
Yes.
So learn from people who have done that in the past, and there are some mistakes that are not necessary.
Absolutely. People have already make them right. So
Some
you
people have
just,
made them,
yeah.
so
Yep.
you don't have to make it anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. And one of the other things I still had to learn was how to send a very diplomatic email. You know, you can get an email from a professor and you want to reply like 2 or 3 lines, but it's going to take you like 5 minutes because you are thinking
Processing.
about it, you write it, and like, if she read it, how will she respond? And then you edit a couple of times till you
Mm,
find out something perfect. So when I had to learn that that every professor work differently,
they work differently. Yeah.
differently. And when I learned that, there are sometimes you like, oh, that your supervisor is trying to grill you doesn't mean he or she hates you, right? Sometimes they want to bring out the best in you and things like that. Okay, that's amazing. We're almost out of time, but before we go, um one of the things that also really motivated me about you, was your resilience in competitions. Oh my goodness, you just kept on, going for it and then just putting your very best effort, and especially I watched your presentation in the last, regional 3 minutes thesis.
Mm.
It was really amazing. Do you want to just, mention a little bit about that, how the journey was for you, moving all the way from the university now to representing the university in the regional competition and maybe some other awards too?
Yes, I'll just talk about resilience to begin with. One thing that you need to survive as a PhD student is that you must be resilient. There are times that, you know, things may not work. There are times that things will look as if we are moving in no direction,
Absolutely.
you know, and your resilience will actually push you forward or push you out of that stuck zone, you know. And I can remember vividly there was this award I've been applying for. I was applying almost every year,
That's
and
a Jacobs.
yeah, you know the
I know, I know,
award.
I know, I know.
On my third attempt, I went to meet a professor, and I was talking to the professor. I was like, I've applied for this award 3 times, and I think I really have what it takes to get it, but
Yes.
I'm not getting it.
What's left?
Then the guy asked me 3 questions, and my eyes
Opened.
were opened.
Wow.
He said, "On your resume, do you have this?" I was like, "No." "But you do you have it as in real life?" I said, "Yes." "Why is it not on your resume?"
Wow.
"On your resume, do you have this?" I said, "No." A lot of things they were looking for were not even on my resume.
Wow. And these are minor things,
I saw them as some things that are so just minor. Why should I put this on my resume?
Wow.
And those are the things they were looking for.
Wow.
That year, I got that award.
Wow.
Why am I saying that? Sometimes you just need to reach out. Sometimes you just need to see it from other people's lens. Because sometimes you can be biased. When you are carrying it, it is the best to you. But when you present it among others, will it still be the best?
Absolutely.
That's a question you should always ask yourself. So thank God I took that step to reach out, to ask questions, and it worked out that way. Then coming back to 3 minute thesis, there's something I will never forget. And I think it was said by Professor Emeritus Sean Brosnan.
Yes.
He said, if you cannot explain your thesis to a grade six student,
Then
then you don't know your
you
research.
don't know, you don't understand it.
If there's something you are doing that you cannot explain it to a grade six and they will understand, then you
Then
yourself,
you
you
don't
don't
understand
understand.
understand it.
And that actually challenged me. And that was when I started asking myself, assuming I was not the one doing this research, how can someone explain it to me and I will understand? I
Absolutely.
think that was the starting point. And I presented in the Faculty of Science. To the glory of God, I won 2018. Then that same year, I thought I know it all. I went, I went to the university-wide competition and they bounced me out, But I was able to, pick one or two things from other people that presented. So I came back the following year, and to the glory of God, I won, and I represented MON. I represented my university for the regional competition, and you know, putting one or two lessons I learned from others together, and I thank God today. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I always had a lot of motivation, some of the, like those remember the Elmstead Award, the
I think I won
department.
that twice.
Yes, I was like, man, this is Anthony's, this is Anthony's,
Domain.
this is Anthony's domain, so I really
Oh, praise God.
was resilient and like, okay, and you always encourage me that you can do it,
Yeah.
just put in your best effort and
Some of
pray
us
about
have
it.
what it takes
Yes,
to, even to conquer nations. But
yes,
sometimes we don't see it as strength.
absolutely, that's
I
very
was reading somewhere in the Bible today, and I was reading when Moses sent out the 12 spies
yes,
and they came back. All of them were saying, do you know the funniest thing about their comment is that it is in their own eyes
yes,
that they look like grasshoppers, not
absolutely,
even in the eyes of those people.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
sometimes most of the defeats come from self.
Inner within.
Yes, that is what people should pay attention to. Have you defeated yourself already?
Mhm.
You have defeated yourself, then you now want to win outside. How
Just
does
for,
that work?
just
You
forget
should
about
first
it.
see yourself as a winner.
Just forget.
Then we can talk about it.
Yes, yes. I
Praise God.
mean, it was a very great learning experience for me. Remember when we went when we went to when we were submitting our abstracts then for CNS conference.
Mm, mm,
I know you remember. Just we can do it. We have what
yeah.
it takes to do it, and then we went there, we won. It was really
And I won't forget, we were both in the competition together,
yes, yes, yes,
and
yes.
Peter came second. You know,
That it's
I won't forget that experience because on that stage I was filled with joy. Why? Because my personal person
yes, yes, yes,
was
yes.
going home with a prestigious award. And I want to say this, you know, sometimes life is turn by turn.
Absolutely,
If it is your time to win,
yes,
nobody can change it.
absolutely,
Not even you can change it, you know.
absolutely.
And one thing I want to say to people is that when people are winning, celebrate with
Celebrate
them
with them.
with a
Yes,
clean and open mind
yes,
because your own time will soon come. It
absolutely,
is the time for that person. Celebrate. When your
yes,
time comes, you will be celebrated.
absolutely,
And I said something. I said, when it is your time to win, not even you can
absolutely,
stop it to a
absolutely,
reasonable extent. When
absolutely.
I won the award in University of Nottingham to do my master's, towards the end of the program, I went to look at the application I submitted.
I like,
I was like, who gave me this scholarship?
it has, it does
you
happen.
know, and that's
It
just on a
does.
lighter mode. But prior to that, there are other things they are looking for. To the glory of God, I made a first class. Things like that. You know, so the ingredients were there. I'm just talking
Absolutely,
about the write up, and
absolutely,
you have to be in that spot in such a way that you look at what you have done in the past, and they don't make sense to you anymore. That's a sign of growth.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely,
that's a
absolutely.
sign of
That's
growth.
very
Praise
true.
God.
All right, let's close up with this. We like I mentioned when we started the program, we are people of faith and we're always proud of it, wherever we go, anytime, any day. So can you just, maybe in few words, just talk about your church and, the place of worship, and maybe other people too, maybe to coming to Canada, if they're looking for a place of worship, can also be a place they can fellowship as well.
Oh, okay. Praise God. I tell people, if you want to know the true success, ask people what their story is.
Yes,
Sometimes what we see as the glamour is just a tip on the iceberg or the
absolutely.
icing on the cake. There's something that forms bedrock for any success that you see. And like we both established earlier, we prayers, is an important ingredient in the pot of success. You know, in fact, it should form the bedrock.
Absolutely.
You know, and to the glory of God, myself and Peter, we belong to a church called Christian Missionary Fellowship International. It's a church, filled with prayerful people and people that are very sensitive in the spirit, because a day of insensitivity in the spirit can make things to go on for years. I was
Absolutely.
telling you a story, you know, about the Israelites
Yeah,
because of what they did, because they were sent to spy the land for 40 days.
absolutely.
Because of those negative comments, the consequence was 40 years of merry-go-rounding
Yeah,
in the
absolutely.
desert or in the
Mm-hmm.
wilderness. So I must say this emphatically, know what you want, then present it to God.
Absolutely.
And it's important to know the mind of God on whatever it is that you want to be
True,
in
true.
life. And let me tell you this, when I was growing up, I wanted to be a medical doctor, you know. But what was the basis of my desire? Because most of my friends were feeling medicine in their forms. And that was just the basis of my desire.
Absolutely. Yep.
So it's good to desire that. But thank God how it played out, because when I was doing my PhD, I was basically doing surgeries that a doctor would do as well, or
Yes,
if
yes,
or what a veterinary doctor would do.
yes.
I was doing that, and to the glory of God, the department I'm with now in my place of work is laboratory medicine. So
Wow.
I'm
Wow.
practically, back to that old time
Yeah,
desire.
all time, all time.
Old
Yeah,
time desire
first
in a
time. Yes.
different way.
Yeah.
So uh, pray about things, know your God, because with God all things
Possible.
are possible.
Absolutely.
What God cannot do for you does not exist.
Absolutely.
Dream the dream, let the dream scare you. So when
Absolutely.
the dream now scare you, put God in it, put
Mm-hmm.
God in the equation, and let's see how
Absolutely.
things will play out.
Absolutely.
Because most of those things we've seen before, we sometimes we think, no, how can it be? How can this be for me? This is for other people. No, good things are meant for you. Only if
Yes.
you can put God in the equation. And what God cannot do does not exist. Put God in that equation.
Put
Pray
God
about
first.
all things.
Yes.
Let God be let God be the first in all the things you are doing.
Okay.
And you see how things will play out.
Mm.
Yeah. We really praise God for the church. He has planted us. They prayed for us. A lot of time they are always organizing program so
Yes.
that you can be
Grow.
sensitive in the spirit and commit
Absolutely.
things
Absolutely.
into the hand of God. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much, Anthony. It was really a blessing knowing you. I know those times I'll call you, Anthony. I'm at home. I need to go to church. Can you come and pick me up? You will drive past the church and then come pick me up and then going back to
Yeah.
church. So those times are really times of blessings, and I'm very excited that I got to
Yeah.
know someone like you. A lot of the things I learned from you now, I'm doing my PhD now. Like your story keep on playing in my head. All of those surgery, for example, that you were doing. They were doing surgery the other time, and I was just remembering all those things. I was just smiling, right? A lot of things, this idea generation is like I have a prototype in my head. That does it. I have a
Yeah.
prototype in my head, knowing what to do part time. So it's been a
Yeah.
pleasure knowing you, and we thank God for making our ways to to cross it, our path to cross each other. All right, so thank you everyone for. I know it was a very long video, but it was worth it
Oh yeah,
to
yeah.
learn a lot of things. So I hope you learned some things from it. And then, so if someone wants to contact you, Anthony, just to maybe chat with you, so how can they contact you? Maybe your name or LinkedIn, or how can they reach you?
On LinkedIn, you can just check for my full name, which is Olatunji Anthony Akerele.
Okay.
You can check me on Facebook as well. My Facebook is Olatunji Tony. So I
Okay.
removed AN from the
Okay.
Anthony.
All right. All right.
Olatunji Tony Akerele. Then
Okay.
on Twitter, you can search me using Olatony.
Okay.
Olatony. I think those are the three platforms that
All right. So
I'm
so I'm going to put those names in the description so that if you
Yeah.
want to contact him, it's good, and then you can contact him. So if you have any question for us, and the part that is not clear, you can just, leave a question in the comment section, and then we'll try to answer it as much as possible. And if it's a question directed to Anthony, I will also let him know. And then when I communicate with him, I also provide answers to some of those questions. So we wish you all the best of grace in your journey, in your PhD program, in your journey to come to Canada for studies. And we wish you all the very best. So have a great day, and then see you in the next video.
All right.
Mm.